Well, the formal definition of economics in this course is the study of how people allocate their limited resources to satisfy their unlimited wants. Every person on this earth does not have enough time or money or things that we perceive will make us more satisfied without sacrificing something else. In simple terms, economics is all about the actions of people striving to make their lives better in a world with limits. I like to think of economics as a study of people and their attempts to optimize the limited resources they have. I call this effort constrained optimization. Throughout human history, people have searched for ways to improve their lives. We invent new tools, machines, technologies, and services such as medical care and recreation that are all intended to increase our attainment of our desires. Economics is a science. It's a social science, and as such, we develop hypotheses, theories, and identify principles related to the cause and effect of economic activities. Assumptions are a set of circumstances which we use to create models. These models are used to help document and then predict human behavior. In our study, assumptions define the set of circumstances based on our observations of the actions of participants within an economy. A model is only useful if it yields usable predictions supported by real-world observations. In this course, we will examine economic activity using both theoretical and empirical economic models. Theoretical economics is primarily concerned with building models in an attempt to explain and then predict economic behavior. Empirical economics is the analysis of how well the models predict reality. If a model makes a prediction and factual evidence supports the prediction, then the model is useful. As an empirical science, economics relies on real-world data to evaluate the usefulness of the model. Models relate to the way people act in using limited resources and not in the way they think. Economic models generalize people's behavior. We categorize our economic behavior as relevant preferences. When describing economic activity and cause and effect circumstances, we will be assessing whether the description is positive or normative. Positive economics describes factual observations, the way things really are, while normative economics describes the way one thinks things ought to be. For example, we can describe how the principles of supply and demand interact with each other to establish a market price for almost any good. That description of the mechanics can result in a positive statement. When the price of a good increases, the demand for that good decreases, holding all other factors constant. But in a market economy, should you be able to sell anything without limitations solely based on a free market price? If you said you should or should not, we have entered into the realm of normative economics. At some time or another, in some countries, it has been legal to sell or own other people, children, drugs, sex, body parts. It has been illegal to sell certain religious scriptures, livestock, guns, alcohol, or opinionated books and educational material. It is a positive statement on minimum wage to observe that a model predicts that if the wage increases, the demand for minimum wage workers will go down. It is a normative statement when one argues that the minimum wage should be increased because everyone deserves a livable wage. There is a warning, however. Recognize that normative analysis, while it is easy to find positive economics, it is often difficult to identify unlabeled normative statements, even in a textbook. Take a minute and look at these 7 statements and determine whether or not they are positive or normative. Stop the tape and then start it again once you've answered those questions. The ceteris paribus assumption, or all other things held equal, is the assumption that nothing changes except the factors being studied. Inasmuch as people respond to incentives and the fact that we all face trade-offs or opportunity cost, the study of economics helps us understand life's choices. This schedule represents choices that consumers may have to buy automobile tires in a certain area. Here we have the same quality and size of tires that could be offered at a range of prices from $50 to $100 per tire. The price is the independent variable. The dependent variable is the number of tires consumers will purchase at various prices in a given week. The quantity of tires purchased is dependent on the price that is set. The schedule of price and quantity of tires can be also illustrated on a chart. where the price of tires is shown on the vertical axis and the quantity demanded is shown on the horizontal axis. Each pair of price and quantity variables are represented by a point on the chart where the $100 price of tires will result in the sale of 40 tires per week. At first glance, this next schedule for tires may look like the same as the previous one considered. A closer look reveals that this schedule represents the choices of producers of automobile tires. They will consider how many tires they will sell at various prices. The dependent variable, however, for the producer shows a positive relationship, whereas the price increases, so will the number of tires offered for sale. The higher price acts as an incentive for producers to produce additional quantity of tires. As with the demand schedule set by consumers, the producer schedule can also be illustrated in a chart. The supply curve is a positive curve for what we call a direct relationship, meaning that an increase in one variable is associated with an increase in the other, and a decrease in one variable is associated with a decrease in the other variable. An inverse relationship, on the other hand, is what we see in the demand curve. An inverse relationship is a relationship between two variables that is negative, meaning that an increase in one variable is associated with a decrease in the other variable. In this chart, the point where the supply curve and the demand curve intersect is called the point of equilibrium, or the market clearing price. It is at this point that the market sets its price. Every tire of this constant quality supplied tire will be purchased at this price of $75. If more tires are supplied, a surplus is created. If fewer tires are supplied, a shortage is created in the market. The final concept we will cover in this slide set will be how to determine the slope of a line. We will use this concept in our economic analysis in the future. To determine the slope of a line, or how steep or shallow a line is relative to the axis, we determine the change in the y value divided by the change in the x value along an established curve. The mathematical equation is referred to the rise over the run. The 2 points on this curve may represent a change in price from $60 to $80. This change decreases quantity demanded from 100 tires to 60 tires. Using these 2 points, the rise is an absolute value change of $20, 80 minus 60. The run is an absolute value of $40, 100 minus 60. The slope of the line is the 20 divided by 40, or 1 over 2, or 0.5.